So anyway, people, how you going? Now, my name is Glenn. I'd like to address the question of whether Australians love the outback. Well, it depends on the context. So, now I'm actually next to a river. As you can see, this is Plenty River in Mernda. And it's quite a beautiful and peaceful place. There's a train line over there, I can quite clearly hear it. There's lots of actual birds. Over the last 10 years, they've actually revegetated this. There was actually no trees or plants. They were larger than grass here before. This was farmland, so cattle would have come down here and drank and shat in the water. And over the last, actually I'd say 15 years, they've actually planted quite a lot of plants. You can see all that vegetation over there. That's all planting. The weeds are starting to grow now, but they'll die back. Up here, if you go up here, there's actually just grass still. Mainly serrated tussock grass, so it's not really important. But there would not have been any wildlife here. I've seen wallabies around here. There is lots of kangaroos. There's no koalas, which is a pity. Maybe they should reintroduce them. So this actually goes up to King Lake National Park. It's quite a beautiful place. But that is me. I actually like the countryside. But there are two ways you can look at this. Australians like to go camping in the countryside. A lot of Australians, they love camping. So we go out, pitch a tent or a caravan in the bush. For about a month or 2 months, we just hang out in the forest and have a good time. Generally, we don't hunt, we just go to the supermarket, get food, and generally, that's what a lot of people do during summer. They go camping. They go out into the bush, but a lot of people also go to other towns. So we have lots of small towns. We have Nagambie, Tokemore, you can go down to Rye. We just go to other towns, just live there for a while and experience the beauty of living in those places. And, well, that is one way that Australians actually like the countryside. But do we like living in the countryside? I'd have to say no. The majority of Australians live in the cities. Like Melbourne and Sydney have pretty much, how much have they got? Probably 11 to 12 million people in them. That's nearly half the population of Australia. And with other towns, they probably make up about 23 million, 24 million people out of 25 million. So, majority of people actually live in towns and cities. And very few people live in the countryside. Virtually no one lives in forests, and mainly because of bushfires, your place will just burn down very quick. So virtually no one lives in forests. When you think that someone actually lives in a forest, there's actually a town like, go up to Pheasant Creek near King Lake, or even King Lake itself. They do have a lot of trees around there. It looks like a forest, but it is actually a town. So those people living in town, they have amenities. They have some small shops. They have post office and all that stuff they can do. And it's easy access because the roads are very good to go to Melbourne, which is only half an hour away. Go down the hill. Ooh, fish. I actually like to come down here because it has beautiful insects. So Australians do not like to live in towns. And I would say the human population is generally moving away from that. That's why we have urbanisation happening all over the world, especially in India and China now, where people from the countryside move into the city because you can get a lot of better wage. You can get access to better facilities. There you are. Oh, there's a large insect. It looks like a relative of a wasp. It actually looks like a large ant Birds, well, wasps and ants are related, so this one's just an offshoot of probably one of those. Looks like it's hunting for food. Anyway, so Australians don't like to live in the countryside, and they love to camp. But then they like to go back to the city and enjoy their life as well. And this has been the way for Europeans since we first came here in 1788 in Sydney. So what we done was we founded cities. A few people actually moved into agricultural areas to have farming, but a majority of people still lived in the cities. There was anomalies for when people actually went gold mining, especially in Victoria. But then after that period ended, which was probably only 5 years, majority of people would have moved back to either a town or a city, and they would have lived there. So Australia went from the Stone Age, which the Aboriginal people got distracted, which the Aboriginal people actually practiced because they didn't use metallurgy, which is just the smelting of raw elements into metals. And so Australia went from Stone Age to the Industrial Age, because we're in the cities. They tried to establish industry, but a lot of it was agriculture. And majority of Australians have always been living in urban environments. So urban just means living in towns and cities. Rural means living outside of towns and cities. Rural can also include very small towns, very small cities, but that's basically how Australians been. So there's a myth that Australians like to become bush rangers and just go in the bush and just hang around and just do fucking shit. But no, that's not the case. We always like cities, and a majority of people in Australia will live most of their lives in larger towns and cities, because that's just very beneficial to your life. So that is some culture with Australia. We like to go in the countryside for holidays, for tourism. Very few people actually like to live there full time because it's very isolating. And a majority of Australian population actually lives in the cities because you can socialise quite easily. You can get lots of things, nice hospitals, transport, get lots of different food. So it's just the way we are. Anyway, if you watch a movie Australia, don't believe it. It's all just fucking bullshit. Have an awesome time, people. Learning English and learning about Australia, because that's what I want to teach you. Have fun and take care, because you never know. Hooroo.